Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Age of the Planet, Building an Alchemy Civilization from Scratch. Chapter 1, Stupid Kids, Run Away. An immortal old man with a terrified expression shouted with all his strength. Next second, boom, the cultivators standing in the air exploded one by one like fireworks, turning into a blood mist. There was a fiery, blood-colored rainstorm in the sky. This is too strong. Is this the collision of top civilizations? What top civilization? Obviously the two are not the same grade. This is a massacre. The technological civilization is too strong. Envy. I also want to build a technology planet. The science and technology planet needs to climb the basic science tree. It's too difficult. If I can build a magic planet, I'll be satisfied. Blue Star, Shanghai and Shenzhen No. 8 Middle School. In the classroom of Class B of the third year. The students had just watched a planetary confrontation, and immediately began to discuss. Their excitement are beyond words. Shu Jie sat in the last row, watching all this with a calm expression. Tomorrow is the day to awaken the planet, and it is useless to discuss so much now. If there is no awakening and brain liberation, it is impossible to create a technological civilization. Moreover, technological civilization is not an invincible existence, and weapons like water droplets cannot work in the face of the mythical Deluo. Yes, this is a whole new world. Shu Jie also didn't understand how he came through. In this world, when everyone is 18 years old, a planet will be awakened in the body. Someone awakened spiritual energy and created a magical civilization. Everyone on the planet is a mage. Some people awakened the energy of fighting chi and created a warrior civilization. Everyone on the planet is a fighting master. Some people wake up to liberate their brains, build a technological civilization, and stellar fleets shuttle in the universe sea, conquering every world. The planet must be successfully awakened. Shu Jie clenched his fists. He crossed over and was just a child of an ordinary family. If the awakening fails, you can only go to work on other people's planets, and you will have no future in this life. The next day, the day of awakening comes. Teacher Chen stepped onto the podium and began to explain the matters needing attention in awakening. Although these things, the students have heard hundreds of times. But at this time, they still pricked up their ears, daring not to miss a trace. Today is the only day that changes fate. Soon, a row of students, led by the teacher, went to the awakening room. When they come back, some people howled and cried, while others were elated. Under the impact of this strong contrast, the rest started to look forward to it. Last row, Teacher Chen said lightly. He had no hope at this time. He did not expect to awaken 40 students, but only 9 successfully awakened the planet. However, only 10 people can be judged. The children in the last row are all students with poor mental strength. It seems that there is no hope for this final evaluation. Come to awakening outdoors. Shu Jie heard voices coming from inside. The White Goddess has awakened a dwarf planet with a diameter of about 800 kilometers. It's amazing. It turned out to be a dwarf planet. This time our 8th high school is in his early days. The dwarf planet is very likely to have advanced energy. I'm really curious about what kind of civilization she will create. Class A is really powerful, and there are strong dwarf planets. Teacher Chen was slightly startled. Then he looked at the student he was taking with him. It would be great if they could also have dwarf planet powerhouses. Unfortunately, this is not possible. He laughed at himself and said, "Go in, Teacher Awakening will tell you what to do." Shu Jie stood in his place. In front of him is a suspended awakening stone. Follow the prompts. As long as you put your right hand on it, you can awaken. Shu Jie was a little nervous, then calmed down and put his right hand on it. Then, he closed his eyes and began to feel his own spiritual world. He emptied his mind and imagined nothing. Suddenly, like a burst, thousands of galaxies appear in my mind. The galaxies are constantly colliding, and finally countless cosmic dusts are born. Shu Jie began to try to condense the dust and rub it into a planet. The bigger the planet, the better. But this is also a huge consumption of mental power. 1 kilometer in diameter. 10 kilometers in diameter. 100 kilometers in diameter. Gradually, the school leaders noticed this. A diameter of 100 kilometers is simply a rare existence. The larger the initial planet, the higher the chance of awakening advanced energy. At the same time, the college entrance examination results will be better. College entrance examination ranking. This can be related to the school's enrollment for the following year. That's not his limit. The size of the planet continues to increase. The dean was astonished like 5 lightning strikes. Don't disturb him. Let him continue. The principal frowned. This student usually doesn't pay much attention to it. To be able to awaken such a large area of the planet. Teacher Chen was also stunned. Xu Jie, this kid. In the usual mock exams, it would be hard to condense the diameter of 1 kilometer. Today, good guy, condensed 100 kilometers in one breath. Xu Jie was sweating profusely at this time. Now the diameter of the planet has reached 720 kilometers. And his spirit was on the verge of collapse. Anyway, must go to 800 kilometers. Only then will it be rated as a dwarf planet. Only by becoming a dwarf planet can you get the educational resources of the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets. After 3 minutes, a planet finally condensed successfully. 800 kilometers in diameter. Pity, how could this be? There is a 1 in 10 million chance of being met by him. Finally, the school produced 2 dwarf planets, but I didn't expect one of them to be a radiation planet. Several teachers shook their heads. Teacher Chen thumped his chest and stomped his feet. Xu Jie, this kid, is too unlucky. A radiant planet was awakened. A large area of such a planet is in the field of radiation. Even if a human being is born by chance, it is impossible to live beyond 30 years old. Unless there are countless resources, desperately smashing. Only then can civilization be born. But what's the use of that? Those resources are enough to cultivate 10,000 civilization planets. Xu Jie was also a little confused. It took so much effort to condense the planet. In the end, it turned out to be a red radiation dwarf planet. Look at this world. He was really unwilling. Awaken this radiant planet. What is the difference between awakening failure? Right now, ding dong, a mechanical sound appeared in Xu Jie's mind. Detecting that the host has awakened to a special planet, and the exchange system of all things is activated. Xu Jie was stunned for a moment, and his heart was excited. This is Goldfinger Online. He is a senior web literature enthusiast, and he is familiar with the system. Ding, the novice gift package is open. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Mutation Potion, Shimmer. Reward points, 100,000. And a starter pack. He quickly closed his eyes and started the induction system. The original system consumes points, you can exchange items. First of all, he set his sights on the Mutation Potion, Shimmer. The things sent by the novice gift package are generally not too bad. It turned out that this was a special substance extracted from the body of the mutant lizard. As long as you drink the medicine containing Shimmer, a small dose can instantly close the wound and the body becomes very strong. And a large dose directly turns into a terrifying monster, so it is a mutant medicine. Monster, werewolves, vampires, hulks and more flashed in Xu Jie's mind. This potion may be able to resist the radiation of the red planet. This system understands me too well. Then he started to check the exchange interface. Hex gems. Category. Props. Effect. Containing enormous power. Its power is limited only by the user's imagination, from powering machines to producing beams that can cut through the hardest steel. Redemption required. 1,333,000 points. I go. Actually 1.3 million points. Killing an enemy unit is only 1 point. This is too much. Forget it, see the next one. Vishra's Hex Vinyl Gun. Category. Weapons. Effect. The power of the ability beam is about 13,000 tons of explosives. Redemption required. 4,555,000 points. Excuse me. Next. Speed Force. Category. Descent. Effects. Beyond the speed of light, penetrating objects, passing through time and space. Redemption required. 190 million points. One is more expensive than the other. It seems that the above things are not redeemable by my strength. The system only sent 100,000 initial points. Some basic things should be chosen. He pulled the panel down. Finally found something cheap. Awakening Agent. Category. Consumption. Effect. Can keep people awake and avoid losing their minds. Redemption required. 100 points per bottle. Reducing agent. Category: consumption. Effect: it can restore mutants to ordinary people, but it will cause a short-term weakening effect. Redemption required. 1000 points per bottle. Potion of corruption. Category: consumption. Effect: increases strength, and can continuously restore health, heal wounds, and burn enemy units at the same time. Redemption required. 10,000 points per bottle. Shu Jie's eyes brightened. These are the things I need most right now. The side effect of mutants is to lose their minds and become bloodthirsty. With the sobriety agent, I am not afraid that they will not listen to their commands. Reductants, on the other hand, are able to better control them. Awakening is over. Among the 500 students of Shanghai and Shenzhen No. 8 middle school, only 100 planets have been awakened. Among them, there are only 2 dwarf planets. No, perhaps, only one. Shu Jie looked at Bai Qianshan not far away. She was surrounded by all kinds of capital bosses. And no one cares about himself. Look over there, that person is Shu Jie who awakened a dwarf planet. I'm going, so stupid. But why is it so deserted around him? Ahaha, you don't know yet, what he awakened was a radiation planet. Among our 100 classmates, he is the only one who is a radiation planet. He is simply too lucky. Awakening 800 kilometers is also considered to be smoke from the ancestral grave, but unfortunately it was blocked before it was fully covered. The classmates next to him started talking when they saw him. It is human nature to base your own happiness on the suffering of others. After Shu Jie listened to it, he didn't care much. After all, he now has an exchange system for all things, and even a radiant planet may create miracles. He has already decided the course of civilization. Get ready to build an alchemy planet. In his previous life, he was a PhD in the Department of Chemistry, and he was all too familiar with this aspect. Alchemy is not as simple as refining gold, but a philosophical idea. In his view, various extraordinary civilizations are actually different philosophies. Philosophy is a discipline that studies the basic and universal problems of the world, and is a theoretical system of worldviews. Take Magic Planet, for example. Why are the human beings on the planet keen to become magicians? Because the philosophy of this planet is that there are various elements in the air that humans can use. In simple terms, alchemical philosophy is to transform worthless things into everything that is beneficial to human beings. Not only gold bars, but also the elixir of life that ancient emperors liked very much, is also within the scope of alchemy. Moreover, in Shu Jie's view, alchemy bars are nothing more than pediatrics. The top use of alchemy is to transform inanimate things into living things. And there are 2 branches of alchemy, namely alchemy magic and alchemy technology. Classmates, pay attention, now I teach you to catalyze life. Soon, the principal stepped onto the podium and quickly interrupted Shu Jie's thoughts. Catalyze life. It is also an important part of the awakening planet. Although they had practiced countless times, the students were still cautious and began to listen carefully. Successfully catalyzing life and giving birth to intelligent organisms is a necessary condition for development. Of course, human beings are not the only intelligent beings. Some people catalyzed the dragon people, elves, and giants, and they also made great achievements. According to the principal's prompt, the students begin their planetary transformation. The initial planet was barren, and it was impossible for any life to be born. Only by transforming a suitable environment can life be born. Shu Jie's previous life university evolution theory was full marks, these were too simple for him. First let's have light. This step is relatively simple. He closed his eyes, and the sun began to appear in the cosmic sea of spiritual power. Warm sunlight brings a touch of warmth to the red planet. Then there's water. He continued to carve out rivers, lakes and a small sea on the planet. After doing this, it is to invest in the source of life and accelerate the time and space. After all, the birth of life is measured in billions of years. If you keep waiting, the day lily will be cold. Time-space acceleration. After putting the source in, the planet began to change rapidly. The speed of this change is in the blink of an eye. But the mental consumption of this period is also huge. Many students fainted directly to the ground. Even if these people awakened out of the planet, they were only dead stars, and the awakening failed in the end. Finally, Shu Jie saw that the seawater was visibly cloudy. His planet finally gave birth to life. Only, what do these lives say? One by one, they were all strange and terrifying. This radiation force is really powerful. Biological evolution has been completely disrupted. Shu Jie felt that his head was buzzing. At this time, a valley caught his attention. Spores were born here. Spores are a kind of single-celled organisms that are very common and have a particularly strong reproductive capacity and can be found anywhere in the world. And this robe is not contaminated by radiation. This is simply great news. He began to focus on the valley. According to Darwin's theory of evolution, there is a high chance of intelligent life here. When will the west wind come? Fleeting years will change in secret. Time passed quickly, and an ape appeared in the valley. What the hell? Shu Jie trembled with excitement. Apes are the ancestors of humans. Examinee number 15, evolved a low-level intelligent life, slime. Examinee number 26, evolved a low-level intelligent life, meow star. Examinee number 35, evolved an intermediate intelligent life, Wang Xingren. Examinee number 48, evolved intelligent life, human beings. Humanity. The whole atmosphere froze for a moment. In such a short period of time, humans have evolved. This means that this candidate has a great chance of awakening high-level energy, even extraordinary energy. The special energy of each planet is determined by the first intelligent life on that planet. Quote. 10 minutes later, the first human in the entire examination room still did not show any strength. All the teachers were silent. They shook their heads one after another. The planet was completely useless. Candidate number 48 is Shu Jie, although he has already planned to take the alchemy route. But the appearance of ordinary humans still made him feel a little dejected. Although ordinary human beings can still develop technological civilization. But to no avail. In scientific and technological civilization, basic science is equal to the mother of science. Like an ancient kingdom, the basic sciences have not progressed. Even as technology advances, better knives, swords, spears, and possibly even Zug crossbows like machine guns are constantly being built for soldiers. But if they don't know that matter is made up of atoms and molecules, missiles and satellites will never be built. Therefore, scientific and technological civilization needs to constantly climb the basic science tree. But progress in basic science is hellish. Only the human race with liberated brains can climb up. Ordinary human beings can only progress to the age of steam at most, which is already quite remarkable. Unfortunately, it turned out to be an ordinary human being. But you can also work for other countries, mine or recycle garbage. Forget it, no one wants it. If you accidentally bring the radiation over, it will be more than the loss. This Shu Jie, the surprise for us is always only half. The teachers shook their heads one after another. Such a good seedling, why did he encounter all the low probability things? Look over there, Bai Qianqian was born an elf. Real or fake? Really, and awakened the power of the elements. The magic talent of the elves is several times that of the humans. This Bai Qian is incredible. Seeing this, the principal couldn't help but laugh. This time, number 8 middle school finally figured out a genius. This time in the college entrance examination, maybe you can get a high ranking, or even the first place. It's just that Shu Jie, what a pity. He awakened dwarf planets. Arguably, the probability of transforming into advanced energy is very high. Unexpectedly, it is not only a radiation planet, but also has no low-level energy. Face such a result, Shu Jie completely calmed down. He just combined the exchange system to think about the alchemy civilization route. If other energies are awakened, it will be a troublesome thing for him. That Shu Jie, his psychological quality is too strong. If it were me, he would have squatted in a corner and cried. Fortunately, with his existence, I won't be too uncomfortable. One after another, intelligent beings of people awakened their energy. When they saw what happened to Shu Jie, they immediately felt that what they had experienced was nothing. The psychological gap has also been greatly compensated. The initial planet is nothing, and the real chapter is only seen during the college entrance examination. That's right, there was a genius once. The initial planet was only 10 kilometers in diameter, and finally became the number 1 in the city. The most urgent task now is to hurry up and cultivate your own planet. The college entrance examination is the key. It will be the second model at the end of this month. If you rank high, you may get funding from big capital. Let's work together. Some optimistic classmates, although the initial planet was not big, quickly shook off decadence and began to cheer each other up. Shu Jie also nodded secretly. Awakening only represents a high starting point, and the next cultivation is the highlight. Shanghai and Shenzhen markets, Qingqing home. Shu family. As soon as Shu Jie entered the door, he could smell the aroma of vegetables. But he knew that his father was not at home. Welcome home, master, the meal is ready. The silver fully automatic robot babysitter came out of the kitchen. This is the product of the planet feeding back into the real world. With Blue Star's original technology, such an almighty robot has not been developed for hundreds of years. But after developing the planet, such a product can be obtained very quickly. This is also the reason for the national planet. The mother of this body passed away very early. What my father awakened was just a mineral planet. But no intelligent life was born. So day and night, he was moving bricks for others to support the family. There is a note on the table. It was left by my father. Don't take your mind too much into the awakening result. Even if there is no awakening planet, Dad can support you. See note. Shu Jie's heart warmed. He clenched the note in his right hand and swore to himself that he would definitely make some achievements. Had a quick meal. He began to continue to evolve the planet. Enter the awakening space. Open the information interface. Planet name, none. Area, 800 kilometers in diameter. Environment, radiation area 99.5%. Intelligent life, ordinary humans. Civilization level, none. Civilization type, none. Planet ranking, not on the list. 800 kilometers, of which 99.5% are radiation areas. That is, the area where humans can reproduce is only a pitiful 4 kilometers in diameter. This area is about 50 square kilometers, about the size of the county seat. Forget it, fortunately it's not all infected. At least there is a way out. Shu Jie was silent for a moment. Anyway, the name should be one. It turned out to be an alchemy planet, so let's name it Zon. Soon, the first line of the information interface, the two characters of Zon appeared. Then, he cast his consciousness into the valley. After entering a low-level civilization, the acceleration of time and space will become slow. Now the time flow rate here in the outside world is 365:1. In other words, a year here is equal to a day in the outside world. At this time, in the valley, there were some hunched primitive humans. They use stones to make weapons, cover their private parts with leaves, and carry out the most primitive hunting work. With a sense of shame, it means that they have wisdom and know how to think. That's a good thing. Maybe it's time to throw in the shimmer. War is human nature. This statement is undoubtedly true. But when human beings face a problem of survival, they come together. Like this radiant planet, except for the peaceful place in the valley, all outside are mutated radiation creatures. Even if there are some contradictions among the tribes, no one wants to start a war. Of course, there is an exception, that is, nothing to eat. Now, it is the breeding period of the Zerg. There are swarms everywhere outside the valley. No hunting at all. Hungry is the worst thing ever. The hungry Western tribes set their sights on the Eastern tribes. War is imminent. Eastern tribes like to study words and tools. Western tribes have some physical advantages. Just a face-to-face. The Eastern tribes began to retreat. Although their tools are exquisite, they are of no use in the face of absolute power. Could it be that our Eastern tribes are about to be exterminated? Ancestor, open your eyes and see, your devout people are being slaughtered constantly. An old man in animal skin knelt on the altar and prayed. He is Kai, the leader of the Eastern tribe. Shu Jie thought for a moment, maybe it was time to act on his own. Compared with Western tribes, he is more optimistic about the development of Eastern tribes. According to the knowledge in the school, he does not openly interfere in the evolution of civilization. This will make the people of the planet feel that they are being raised as food, which will eventually lead to irreversible and serious consequences. Woo, woo, a gust of wind came. The leaves of the big tree in front of the altar were blown down. Drops to the ground, forming a piece of text. You want power. Leader Qi saw this line of words. scared back 3 steps. Immediately excited. Ancestor appears. Ancestor appears. I want power to save my people. Chief Chi said firmly. I can give you strength, but you know what? Power needs to be inherited. Inherited. The wisdom of the leader Kai cannot yet understand this profound vocabulary. Just as you taught your people to use the bow and arrow you invented. Shu Jie put it another way. The leader's enlightenment was very high, and he immediately understood. I will now pass on your alchemy, and I hope you can pass it on. Alchemy. What is alchemy? The leader, Qi, is full of curiosity about the unknown, and this mysterious vocabulary quickly attracted his attention. Alchemy is the mystery of creating the unknown of life. It is divided into 3 levels: understanding, decomposition, and reconstruction. Understand things, break things down, and finally construct new things. I summarize it as the triune formula, that is, one quality pleases the other, one overcomes the other, and one dominates the other. Looking at the words lined up in the leaves in front of him, he fell into deep thought. Then he nodded slowly. I think I may have a preliminary understanding of alchemy, and I will definitely pass on this knowledge. Heed his promise. Shu Jie nodded slowly. A gust of breeze came. The leaves began to morph into new cues. The power is under the tree. The leader, Qi, hurriedly started digging. Soon, he sent an exquisite box. He had never seen such a delicate case. It was a work of art. Is this the treasure of God? Opening the box, he saw a line of words. Master Alchemy, and you can make such a box too. Alchemy. He is getting more and more curious. However, the first priority is to solve the invasion of Western tribes. He looked at the 2 reagents in the box. They are Shimmer Potion, Sober Potion. Below the medicine is a simple instruction manual. Although the shimmering potion can give people great power, it also has serious side effects on the body. Mutations. Turn people into terrifying monsters and even lose their humanity. This made him hesitate. Sure enough, to gain power, there is a price to pay. To take or not to take? Chief Chi was tangled. He looked at the second bottle of potion. It can keep people awake, that is to say, even if they become monsters, they will not lose their minds. If this is the case, then the first bottle of shimmering medicine can be taken. Without hesitation, he started taking the shimmer potion. It hurts, it hurts. My brain seems to be about to burst. He held his head and rolled on the ground. At the moment, his cells are being transformed by the shimmering agent. His spine began to curve, claws grew on his hands, and his mouth grew larger with sharp teeth. A quarter of an hour later, a gray-blue mutant stood in the humble thatched hut. Power, this mighty power. He squeezed his palm in disbelief. This grip is stronger than when he was in his prime. See furry arms and sharp claws. He was stunned. This is. He quickly walked out of the room and came to the pond by the door. He immediately saw how he looked. This look is very similar to the creature called wolf. He turned into a wolf. Ow! Unable to hold back, he let out a long howl. Shu Jie is a little relieved that the first werewolf on the planet was born. At the same time, a series of prompts popped up on the interface. Record: you cast Shimmer. The chance of mutants appearing increased by 500%. Roar. In the battlefield, the light flashed. I saw the shadow of the claws dancing. A row of warriors from the Western tribes, whose bodies were instantly frozen, were instantly killed by the werewolf. Shu Jie watched silently. This shimmering potion is indeed unusual. Today, the strength of the leader Kai is converted into combat units, which is similar to that of a United States captain. Of course, it is still a bit farther than Wolverine. The people of the Eastern tribe were also very frightened when they saw the sudden appearance of the monster. But gradually, they discovered that the monster only slaughtered Western tribes. Under the leadership of the werewolf, the battlefield was one-sided. Under the sunset, the leader, Kai, stood on top of the corpse. This war is his victory. The battlefield is so cruel. After the victory of the Eastern tribes, the blonde women, food, and land of the Western tribes are all owned by the Eastern tribes. The people of the Eastern tribe looked at the werewolf in the sea of blood, and all knelt down. Seems to worship him like a god. Faced with such a result, Shu Jie didn't care. If God manifests itself in front of people, it will only make people fear. After a few months, the fear in the tribe slowly turned to fear. Some even suggested that the werewolf killed the old patriarch, because on him, the old patriarch's token was found. Doubt, puzzlement, doubt, all kinds of strange eyes were cast on him. The leader Kai has come to the edge of the valley. He wants to walk into the radiation area and give his clan a peaceful life. Did you choose the wrong person? Shu Jie was a little speechless. Big brother, please don't die. My civilization has not been passed down yet. Boom, right now, there was a thunder in the sky. A bolt of lightning hit the trees. A raging flame burns. Fire. This is the most ordinary thing in nature. Eastern tribes have mastered artificial fire. Kai didn't care about that at all. But today, he looked very fascinated. Understand, decompose, reconstruct. One quality pleases the other, one overcomes the other, and one dominates the other. He began to repeat these two truths. Suddenly his mind widened a lot. It turns out that trees can catch fire because wood pleases fire. No, no, Kai shook his head. Fire is not matter, it is a form of energy released by the reaction between matter. He began to arrange the matter he saw. Lightning, wood. There are only two kinds of matter. Suddenly he was enlightened. It turns out that the burning is the result of the reaction between the lightning and the wood. In the process the wood breaks down and restructures into black charcoal. Shu Jie nodded slowly. He is watching here, as expected of the person he chose. It was possible to realize the nature of burning through natural reactions. Combustion is actually the recombination of molecules, resulting in more links in the arrangement of electrons. Mastering this theory, you can use fire to make pottery and metal, and civilization has once again taken a big step. Woo, woo, a gust of wind came. Leaves form words on the ground. Congratulations, you have realized the most primitive alchemy. When Qi saw the text, he was immediately excited. Ancestor, ancestor, I understand alchemy, and I can't spread your civilization. My wife is afraid of me, and my people are afraid of me. They can't accept my appearance. He cried out loudly, like a child. What he suffered was not the injustice he suffered, but the inability to pass on alchemy. I will teach you the second knowledge now. The basic of alchemy is equivalent exchange. Substances of the same quality and value can only be transformed into substances of the same quality and value through alchemy. When Qi saw this sentence, he was instantly stunned. After the original material is decomposed, it can also be restored. Ancestor. He kneeled reverently on the ground. Shu Jie understood what he meant. A gust of breeze came. Qi stood up and walked to the next big tree. Dig out a box. Reducing agent. He was suddenly shocked. Never thought such a thing existed. This is the greatness of the ancestors. Ancestors are omnipotent gods. He opened the potion and Gululu swallowed it. His appearance began to change. Soon, the human body is back. However, his body was even older than before, becoming a dwarf. How so? Kai looked at his hands and couldn't believe it. This feeling of returning from the peak to the bottom made him yearn for the shimmering potion again. Shu Jie shook his head. Strength is indeed the most addictive poison. Even the leader Kai couldn't avoid it. In fact, his age is only 39 years old, but because of the radiation exposure caused by hunting in the valley, the people here are aging very quickly. Then he used leaves. Combine again into one sentence. The principle of equivalent exchange is not only used between materials. There is no gain without sacrifice. If you want to get something, you must pay the same price. When Qi saw this sentence, he understood a little. He gave up being a werewolf again. Now he has to do, just pass on alchemy. Kai returns to the Eastern tribe. Begin to learn about alchemy. People just know that. It turns out that the so-called werewolves are not monsters or gods. But through the alchemy potion, the change came. All this was given by the ancestors. Gradually, the ancestors were passed on as creator gods. And enable the pattern formed by the last leaves to represent the ancestors and named it the dragon. Eastern tribes began to learn to use fire to decompose other substances. Bricks, pottery, and then bronze were created. People built walls out of bricks, and slowly, nations were born. The leader, Qi, became the first king and named the country, Xing. At the same time, he began to use the shimmering potion to cultivate an army of mutants. Kai knew that sooner or later the resources of the western tribes would run out and they had to get out of the valley. Eventually, he cultivated a werewolf army of 130 people. Since this shimmering potion contains werewolf genes, the army is also all werewolves. With the reducing agent, Qi is not afraid that they will not be obedient. Record points plus 150. Load points plus 300. The Qing dynasty began to walk out of the valley to kill radiation creatures. Xu Jie's points have also been increasing. Werewolves really can effectively protect against radiation. But he was very curious how these people eat the meat of radiated creatures. After all, eating this meat is like committing suicide. Returned with a full load of troops. The whole country is excited. It was the first time they had seen such a sumptuous meal. The women took out a blue grass, began to mash it, and mixed it with food. Xu Jie was slightly startled. Could it be said that this grass can eliminate radiation? He picked up one and looked at it carefully. This grass is called evening primrose, and it has a magical liquid in it, which can speed up the half-life of atoms. No wonder, Xu Jie suddenly realized. As long as you speed up the breeding of evening primroses, you can get a lot of radiation-free land. Your own planet is still saved. After mastering basic alchemy, Kai also began to study this plant. He had never understood why evening primrose could make meat that could not be eaten to be eaten again. But now, he understood. This is where the restore happened. He used the liquid of evening primrose to create a magic glue. This glue can make radiant land look like normal land. The area of the Qing dynasty is also slowly expanding. Xu Jie smiled slightly, and the results of the night were not bad. He very accomplished opening the information panel. Planet name, Zon. Area, 800 kilometers in diameter. Environment 99% of the radiation area. Intelligent life, ordinary humans. Civilization level elementary. Civilization type alchemy civilization. Planet ranking not on the list. Strength ordinary mutants 128, elite mutants 2. Ordinary mutants are about the same strength as Captain United States. The strength of elite mutants should be at the level of Wolverine. That is to say, his own planet now has 128 United States captains and 2 Wolverines. How powerful is this force, perhaps trying to conquer the outer world? There are countless other planets in the cosmic sea. There are uninhabited planets, and there are human planets. Open the world channel to connect the 2 planets. Consuming a certain world source, you can start the world channel. At present, Xu Jie's world origin can only be opened at the lowest level. But it doesn't matter, the mid to high-end planet is not something he can conquer with his current strength. The main world, Shanghai and Shenzhen markets, Thompson first product. Bai Qianqin is finishing her small world. What she awakened was the elves and the talent of magic. At present, it has successfully guided the people to perceive the power of the elements and began to learn to master magic. Qianqin, how is the situation? A man with golden eyes asked next to him. He is Bai Qianqin's exclusive deducer, Lu Gaoxuan, who is responsible for deducing civilization. Such occupations are so highly valued that only a few large families are able to employ them. I now have 3,000 people, including 100 entry-level magicians and 50 junior magicians. Bai Qianqin nodded. Lu Gaoxuan nodded. This progress is really good. Presumably people at your same level may not even have entry-level magicians. My goal is not at the same level as me, my goal is number 1 middle school. I've heard that no 1 middle school has awakened 4 dwarf planets. My goal is to put them underfoot. Bai Qianqin's goal is not at the 8th high school. In her opinion, there is no one who can compete with her within the 8th high school. There are actually 4 dwarf planets in Yizhong. Lu Gaoxuan was also a little surprised when he heard the news. Suddenly he thought of something. Isn't there another dwarf planet in the 8th high school? Oh, you mean that Xu Jie? His luck is too bad. The planet is a radiation planet. It is estimated that this will not even form a tribe. Cosmic sea. Countless planets are floating in it. No one knows how many planets there are in the universe sea. Every planet is a world. Many of these planets are in the grasp of humans, but many are borderlands. If you want to open the world channel, you need to consume the power of the source. The power of the source is the energy produced by the annihilation of the planet. Everyone has the power of the original source in their hands. Generally, 70% of the catalytic life needs to be consumed, and the remaining 30% can only open the lowest channel. The price of a source of power is 5 million blue star coins. Without the support of capitalists and relying only on their own parents, most people in the 8th middle school would not be able to obtain the second source of power. Therefore, the opportunity of this first world passage is precious. Record, you have successfully opened the world channel. Because of shimmer and aging of the body, Kai is now in his twilight years. He had not been in contact with his ancestors for a long time. Before dying, being able to see his ancestors was his last wish. Ancestor, ancestor. He lay on the bed, closed his eyes, and muttered. Suddenly he saw himself standing in a dark space. In front of him was a man full of light. Ancestor. Here it is. She was surprised. That's the secret of this world. Our planet is the red planet. Shu Jie pointed to the planet of Zan and said, I'm going to open a channel to connect the two planets. Go. To plunder the resources of that world. Our civilization can't be nested in the valley forever. This was the first time that Chi had known the concept of the universe, and his heart shook, as if 5 thunders had struck the top. Do those other planets, like us, have life on them? Get excited. These days, in order to understand matter more deeply, he explores the planet. The entire planet, except for the valley, seems to have a special curse. As long as it is contaminated, it will definitely die. If you can plunder the resources of other planets, it is naturally the best. Sudden, he wakes up, but the real dream was still in his mind. This is not a dream, it is the instruction of the ancestors. He reacted immediately. Cough, cough, call my sons here, he said to the attendant next to him. Soon, a group of men knelt in front of him. Is it true to fight in the outer world? Father. We're going to dispatch troops. It turned out to be the instructions of the ancestors, then it should be right. His sons also started to get excited. Father, do you still have that magical shimmering potion? If we continue to cultivate the werewolf army, no matter what kind of enemy, it doesn't matter. First Prince Chen asked. Chi shook his head. The shimmering potion that the ancestors gave him back then was only a few hundred copies, and an army of 130 people was already the limit. We can be priests and continue to ask our ancestors for it. First Prince Chen continued. No, the essence of the shimmering potion is an alchemy product. Even if our ancestors passed down alchemy, we must hope that we can create it with our own strength, rather than blindly relying on him. Second Prince Shin denied it. Kai nodded to himself. Although the tradition of the eastern tribes is the primogeniture system. But there is no doubt that Shin Baiken has a deeper understanding of alchemy. Chen even lost his id because of the shimmer potion. Perhaps Shin is the more suitable heir. However, all this is still to be decided after the completion of this expedition. Sin is right. We have to prove our strength, instead of harassing our ancestors all the time. Kai said lightly. Soon, the army was assembled. In addition to the 130 werewolf troops, there were 1,500 ordinary soldiers. A total of 1,630 fighters. This is all the strength of the Qing dynasty. Kai looked at the soldier below and shook his head. They must get stronger and get out of the valley. The resources of the valley have limited the development of the dynasty. In the Sea of Cosmos, Shu Jie is investigating the situation of another world. This is an asteroid with a diameter of 30 kilometers. Small, but green, it looks more alive than Zan. The creatures living here are goblins, which are humanoid creatures with low intelligence. The goblin planet even has its own kingdom and has developed a low-level civilization. The world is good, with resources and a little bit of difficulty. Shu Jie began to look forward to their performance. Record, your people enter the world channel. Record, your people enter the planet of Goblin. Record, the will of the universe will give corresponding rewards according to the performance of your people. Gerber Linwang Guo. Goblin King Gog sat on the throne. A general appearance of goblins came. Wang, the group blamed human again. The identity of the intruders did not find out. During this time, Gerber Linwang Guo suffered several invasions, which use card repair, the use of a grudge fight division, as well as magician. But we're down to resist them one by one. Because it is the degree of civilization, the intruder is the primary feudal civilization, and they have entered the medieval civilization. King has been thoroughly investigated. The intruder did not have any particular volatility, they are just ordinary human beings. Goblin General said. Ordinary human beings. Ordinary human would dare to invade our planet. Do they have a strange device? GOG voice trembled. He had heard rumors that there are some ordinary human beings can use weapons, causing destruction of days-off energy. No, their weapons are common, but bronze, iron is not even. The number of people. GOG more careful. Ordinary human beings, not any special weapons. They dare to invade. This is not court death it. Less than 2,000 people. Goblin General replied. GOG coolly nodded and said, on this strength, we stick to your teeth or not enough to get our troops and let them know that we are not bullied Goblin Planet. Soon, GOG Pro Guard began to build. GOG personally led, in plain sight of the human invasion. This group of humans who even lower than before. They even went so far as iron or not, still using bronze body clothing as only skins. Even on this planet cannot be called civilized, dare to invade their own. GOG proud to go forward. His size is several times than normal goblins. Ignorance of human beings, do not even say hello to fight, the army took over. You want to provoke a war, you do not look at their own several kilograms to do. GOG like mocking smiles. Kai walked slowly. He took out a bottle of purple shimmer agents. Drink it all in one breath. His body began to distort. A moment later, a ferocious werewolf face appeared in front of him. Greet. This is Zon way of greeting. Roar. He was like a lightning, rushed up. Pinching claws burst the heart of GOG. The Goblin King instant spike. Humanity. Kill them. King revenge. Boom. War completely broke. Shu Jie quietly watching the battle in the air. Gerber Linwang Guo degree of civilization, even about the Middle Ages. Not only do they have Goblin Archer, throwing goblins, soldiers, tanks and even goblins mad followers, Goblin Helicopter. Fortunately, the werewolf has a powerful fighting. One another a goblin is shredded. Records, you people kill 45 Goblin Linshi Bing, get 45 points for. Records, you people kill 23 Goblin Archers, get 46 points for. Records, you people kill 10 Goblin Chariot Soldiers, get 100 points. Watching the steady increase in points. Shu Jie nodded slowly. Depending on the original arms, points are not the same. That after he conquered the end of the world, then destroy an enemy, there may be tens of thousands of points. It seems convertible senior props, there is hope thing. Sudden, boom, a fireball flew toward a werewolf. This is the power of the fireball, soon let werewolf vomited blood, was seriously injured. Shu Jie squinting a go. Goblin mad followers. This is the Gerber Linwang Guo mid-level master. Kai also noted the mad followers. Under his direction, the team began to kill a werewolf mad followers to goblins. Master fear most is the close. With close werewolf squad, goblins mad followers began large-scale casualties. Boom, try this. The Sky One doing all sinister goblins issue, dropped a bomb. These are the Goblin Helicopter. Hard to imagine that this low level of civilization, but there are still such a big kill. Shu Jie frowned. He decided to intervene in the war. He opened the exchange interface. The original can be consumed points, changing battlefield environment. He did not hesitate to choose exchange. Each werewolf loss made him feel bad. Records, you consume points for 2,000, the formation of a hurricane. Instant. Battlefield wind everywhere. Goblin that simple helicopter simply cannot compete this hurricane. The helicopter began to tilt, one by one falling to the ground, make noise deafening. Kai stood in a pool of blood. He felt the gales. And from the ancestors noticed the same breath. This is the ancestors' shot. What a horrible Valent, even the weather can change the world. He rallying roar loudly. Zon warriors, with me on, kill. With a great general in exquisite armor, his head was opened. The goblin army was completely defeated. Many soldiers gave up their resistance and scattered. Shin shouted from the side, grab these goblins and take them back to work as coolies. Kai looked at Shin and nodded. Compared with the bloodthirsty nature of the first Prince Chen, second Prince Shin knows how to use all available resources. Moreover, these goblins have mastered a lot of skills, and may be able to provide a lot of help to the Qing dynasty. Record, you won the war with the Goblin Kingdom. Record, the system is giving rewards based on your performance this time. Record, the battle loss ratio is 1. 1000, the score is SSS, the horn of the Goblin General will be rewarded, and the extra points will be 300,000. Goblin General's Horn. 12 Goblin Warriors with special abilities can be summoned after being blown. The summoned goblins will not disappear until they die, and will not be destroyed over time. I thought it was something good. For a race as weak as goblins, summoning 12 is only for shit. Forget it, put it in the warehouse first. 300,000 points is not bad. Many things can be exchanged. Sunshine Mushroom. Category: Plants. Effects: Rapid fertility, rapid growth, tenacious viability, and can even purify contaminated soil. Redemption required: 100,000 points. See this. Shu Jay's eyes suddenly lit up. Although Evening Primrose can purify radiant soil, its growth power and purification area are far less than that of Sunshine Mushroom. With the Sunshine Mushroom, the area of the Qing dynasty will be further enlarged, and the number of people will also increase. Exchange. Shu Jay did not hesitate, and directly consumed 100,000 points to exchange for Sunshine Mushrooms. After the operation is complete, he cast his sights on Goblin Planet again. A duel is now being prepared. The two sides of the duel went to the first Prince Chen and the second Prince Xin respectively. It turned out that the leader Qi himself had very little vitality left, and this time he took the shimmering medicine, and his lifespan has come to an end. After choosing the second Prince Xin as his successor, the eldest Prince Chen decisively launched a rebellion. In the end, under the Yue of the leader Qi, the rebellion stopped, but the condition was that the two princes faced off, and the winner could continue to lead the Qing dynasty. Shu Jay frowned. The eldest Prince Chen, he is not too optimistic. He decided to give the second Prince Xin a little help. Second Prince Xin took a deep breath, opened the box, and prepared to take out the shimmering potion. But he was stunned, because there was an extra bottle of red and green medicine in the box. Corruption potion. He couldn't help but blurt out. This is the ancestor. He immediately thought of the god of the Qing dynasty. He hurriedly knelt on the ground. Thanks to the ancestors, Xin guaranteed with his own life that he will definitely lead the people to prosperity. On the duel arena, the eldest Prince Chen said coldly, "Xin, you voluntarily admit defeat, and I will guarantee that you will have no worries in your life, otherwise wait, don't blame my subordinates for being ruthless." Xin looked at him with some pity. This megalomaniac does not know that he has been abandoned by God. Your failure is doomed, but unfortunately you will never understand that. Don't talk to me like that. The eldest Prince Chen was angry. He took out the shimmer potion. It turned out to be 2 bottles. Swallow 2 vials of shimmer potion in one go. He turned into a werewolf. His claws are longer and sharper than before, and his size is wider. Xin also drank the shimmer potion, as well as the bottle of corruption potion. Fight! The eldest Prince Chen roared and rushed over. After a quarter of an hour, the duel was over. The first Prince Chen lost the duel without any suspense. No matter how he attacked Xin, the wounds he caused would heal quickly. And every time Xin caused a wound, it could make him feel the pain. How come? Why did I lose to you? I lost to you, a sick seedling who only knows how to do research all day. The eldest Prince Chen knelt on the ground and looked at Xin unwillingly. Xin said lightly, "It's not me who wants you to lose, but..." Before he finished speaking, Chen understood. Ha ha ha. Cough, cough. He took out his long sword and committed suicide. Woo. Seeing this scene, the surrounding soldiers all knelt down and whimpered. When Qi saw this scene, his mood was very complicated. On the one hand, he died his proud son. On the other hand, he actually made the same choice as his ancestors. Shu Jay shook his head when he saw this scene. In fact, Chen's leadership and charisma are indeed good, but he can only be a hero. Heroes are clueless. For what he thinks is just, the hero will do whatever he can to achieve this goal. But it's out of the norm. Although he is very strong, he cannot be supported by ordinary morality. Heroes are righteous, reliable in doing things, have plans, strategies, steps and coordination, have moral support, and can do things higher than morality. In this era, there is no need for heroes, only heroes. Record: your Qing dynasty gave birth to a new king, Xin. Record: your people captured 4,350 goblins. Chapter 11. I lost it. The number AC-505 Goblin Planet was actually breached. Real or fake? On these low-level planets, only those who have just awakened will choose to enter. Who is it that broke a medieval civilization in such a fast time? The goblin craftsman has dwarf bloodline. This is a magical race that can create artifacts. No way, this guy who attacked didn't make a profit. Good boy, Song Dao, I have always regarded you as my best friend. You didn't even tell me the secrets of Goblin Planet. You said, will it be a high-level civilization? Impossible. High-level civilization conquering low-level planets will not only get no benefits, but will also be punished by the will of the universe. Well, that's right, it should be a third-year student. Hey, it's terrifying. At this time, the chat group of the rocket class of Shanghai and Shenzhen No. 1 middle school was discussing a lot. Shanghai number 1 middle school is the best middle school in Shanghai and Shenzhen. Their world is full of origin, unlike Shujie who can only choose randomly but can choose freely. In fact, many of them have traveled to the Goblin Planet, but they all came back. Unexpectedly, this planet could be captured. They had planned to develop for a few years and go to attack. And Shujie, who attacked the planet of Goblin, is absorbing this planet. 30% concentration of the power of the source. Look at the white light group in your hand. He couldn't help but feel a little satisfied. You must know that this kind of low-level planet, generally 10% concentration source power is very rare. Unexpectedly, there are 30%. This concentration is about the same as the one sent during awakening. At the same time, this concentration is also the base unit concentration of the Federation. The Goblin Planet that was drawn from the power of the source began to annihilate. Eventually the entire planet disappeared. Shujie also set his sights back on the planet of Zan. In the Qing dynasty, men, women and children are celebrating this victory. Although some people were killed, the results achieved were remarkable. Zindi, I found some special goblins, their achievements in craftsmanship are higher than ours, and they even produce a metal called iron. This metal is lighter and sharper than bronze. Said a squire in charge of guarding prisoners of war. Oh, interesting. So, maybe they mastered some kind of alchemy method and brought him up. Shin is interested. Soon, a hunched goblin walked into the hall. Goblin Tinkerer, Shujie, who was watching, was overjoyed. On the Goblin Planet, some goblins used to live in mountains, underground or mines, like stones, metallurgy, and have superb craftsmanship skills. I didn't expect to find a treasure this time. I believe that with the help of goblin craftsmen, the alchemy of the entire Qing dynasty will take off a lot. Shujie planted sunshine mushrooms in prominent places in the valley. He believed that the current national alchemy boom in the Qing dynasty would surely discover the magic of this kind of thing. Then, he left the awakening space. At this time, the sky was already bright. In the planetary world, there will be no trouble for people. His spirit still feels great. Simply ate breakfast made by a robot babysitter. He glanced at the time, it was time to go to school. The first class after awakening is very important. The teacher will answer the difficult problems encountered in the development of civilization. As soon as he entered the class, Shujie noticed something strange. The classrooms that used to be crowded are now empty, with only 8 people. Those who have not awakened the planet have no chance to attend classes. There are 2 others who were also expelled from the school because they did not catalyze the intelligent race. It really is a cruel world. Look, that Shujie, didn't he awaken the radiant planet? Hasn't he been expelled from school yet? I don't know, although it is a radiation planet, maybe he also gave birth to intelligent life. I was in awakening room with him at the time, and he gave birth to human beings. Then he still has some skills. I heard that the probability of human beings being born on a radiation planet is basically 0. Cut, what's the use of that? Tomorrow will be the final exam. This time it's a 4-school joint exam. The principal has already said that this time, the last elimination system will be adopted. We won't see the genius of this awakening dwarf planet. That's right, the joint entrance examination of the 4 schools has a lot to do with our 8th middle school. If we can't break through, we won't even have the capital to compete with the first school. There should be no problem with the White Goddess. According to my information, she already has 150 magicians. This is too powerful. Such an army is simply invincible in No. 8 middle school. Listening to the discussions of these classmates, Shujie was expressionless. A magician has just appeared in Bai Qianshan's tribe, and they haven't become a goblin fanatic, which poses no threat to his werewolf army at all. Shujie, they talk about you like that, you don't say a few words. Chen Qi next to her is a kind-hearted girl and has a good relationship with him. No need, Shujie said lightly. Tomorrow they will see Zan's strength, so why bother talking nonsense? The next day, the four-school joint entrance examination officially arrived. Shanghai and Shenzhen high schools have 3 echelons. The first echelon, 1, 2, 6. The second echelon, 3, 4, 5, 8. The third echelon, 7th, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Generally speaking, no one pays attention to the third echelon. They are the students with the worst qualifications in Shanghai and Shenzhen. It is only out of humanitarian consideration that they are given some places in the college entrance examination. And today, it's the second-tier test. The top-ranked schools will have the opportunity to compete with the first-tier teams. Half an hour before the game. For the preparation stage. Shujie entered the awakening space. At this point, half a year has passed since the planet of Zan. In the past 6 months, the Qing dynasty began to develop rapidly with the help of goblin craftsmen. They invented gears. Mechanical budding has already begun. But one problem has always plagued them. That's motivation. To put it bluntly, the goblin helicopter is the principle of bicycles. This kind of power can at most make the skinny goblins fly, but there is absolutely no way for humans to do so. Inside the laboratory, Shin looked at a small goblin craftsman and said, "What's the result this time?" "It's not bad, this color is almost the same as the shimmering potion." The goblin tinkerer grinned. "Prepare for the experiment," Shin coldly said. Subsequently, a group of criminals were escorted in. These people are all criminals who have committed capital crimes. Experimenting is their only chance to survive. Ow! A man whimpered in pain and rolled on his knees. His shape began to change. A half-human, half-beast, lizard man, appeared in front of everyone. He is nearly 3 meters tall, with big eyes, spots all over his body, and only 3 fingers on each hand. Roar! He felt like he was full of power. With one punch, the guard next to him was knocked out. In an instant, 2 werewolves rushed up. After some fighting, the lizard men were finally brought under control. Shin was a little surprised. He didn't expect that a lizard man's combat power would be comparable to a werewolf. However, the werewolf is still stronger, and the lizard men are superior in agility. They finally succeeded. After countless days and nights of research on the shimmering potion, this magical potion was finally extracted from the body of the mutant lizard. My guess is indeed correct. The original shimmering potion should be extracted from the wolf's body. This time I extracted it from the lizard body and got a different mutant. Goblin Tinker Warby said. Shujie watched the experiment throughout. Unexpectedly, civilization has developed so fast that it has been able to produce shimmering medicine by itself. However, this mutant lizard is very rare, which is really a pity. A gust of wind suddenly appeared in the laboratory. Shin frowned. Where does this wind come from? The laboratory is completely closed. Sudden, he reacted. 2 words came to mind. Ancestor. This is the call of the ancestors. He hurried to the altar. Ancestor, are you calling me? He exclaimed with joy. Yes, I am very satisfied with your achievements in the past 6 months. Next, I will give you a chance, and if successful, I will give you precious energy. Energy. Shin was a little puzzled by this term. Energy refers to a resource that can provide energy. These include thermal energy, electrical energy, light energy, mechanical energy, chemical energy, etc. It's like the goblins stomping on their bikes and turning the gears so their helicopters can fly. Shujie uses leaves to form words. Shin is very smart, and he immediately understands the term. So energy is something like firewood. They have not formed an industrial civilization supported by fossil energy, and firewood has always been their main energy carrier. Much more advanced than firewood. The energy contained in it is beyond your imagination. Hearing this, Shin was excited. They imitated the aircraft made by goblin helicopters, but they couldn't take off because of power problems. If you have this energy, must be able to produce tools that people can fly. Ancestor, Shin represents the Qing dynasty, and takes over the task of this honor. Shin kowtowed, expressing his determination. Soon, the Qing dynasty mobilized. Soldiers collectively stood in the square. Your Majesty, we have thousands of troops, so should we send them out? The attendant next to him was puzzled. This is the meaning of the ancestors. Our enemies are not ordinary. Except for mutants, everyone else is a burden. Hearing the meaning of the ancestors, the attendant stopped talking. Ancestor gave instructions. We Qing dynasty will usher in an opportunity. Defeat the enemy, we will be honored and rewarded. You can get women, wealth, and status what you want. And the person who kills the top 10 enemies will also get this. Shin raised the potion in his hand. The werewolves and lizardmen off the field widened their eyes. That is the reduction potion. With it, you can freely convert between mutants and normal humans. Generally only nobles can have it. Their eyes were all red. Kill, kill, kill. Record, your planet is about to open the trial channel. Record, the trial channel was opened, and the troops began to transmit. Record, the troop transfer is completed. Principal, the students are all ready to start the first wave of monsters. The dean looked at the screen, and each student assembled his own troops, so he said. The principal nodded slowly, and suddenly he noticed the most central screen. That was the number 1 seed in No. 8 Middle School, by Qianshan. Hey, this by Qianshan, isn't it said that there are only 150 magicians? I didn't expect there to be 250, not only 100 more, but also 3 intermediate magicians. He said somewhat surprised. Intermediate magicians can already perform third-order magic, such as lightning strikes and fire dragon techniques. If nothing else, this by Qianshan should be the first place. I hope she can represent our No. 8 high school and get the first place in the second echelon. The teaching director frowned and analyzed. Except for the dean of education and the principal. There is also a senior class teacher in the viewing room. Mr. Chen, your students don't seem to be very good this year. In this case, your performance this year will be lost. A teacher next to him said with schadenfreude. Teacher Chen was a little speechless, but did not refute. Next to her is Teacher Zhang from Class A. There is Bai Qianshan in his class, and she has almost been designated as the first in the grade by default. Mr. Zhang is amazing. This time, not only is the number 1 in the number 8 middle school, but also the number 1 in Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets. Mr. Zhang, the position of grade director, 8 achievements are yours. I also ask Teacher Zhang to help us more in the future. Several teachers around began to compliment him. Teacher Chen was a little unhappy. The position of grade director should have been his. But now, the one I brought myself is really bad. Years of hard work came to nothing. He was really unhappy. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the first wave of enemies appeared in front of Shin. Goblin. Shin was a little surprised. He thought there would be some powerful enemy, but he didn't expect it to be just goblins. Don't be careless, pay attention to the color of these goblins, he is different from the ones you have seen. Shu Jie quickly reminded. Shin soon noticed too. These goblins are different from the normal green goblins, some of them are red and some are blue. The red ones are red goblins, which can throw fire-type stones and create explosions. The blue ones are frost goblins, which can throw ice-type stones to create ice. There are about 300 of them together, and their strength is around the level of entry-level magicians. Alert! Kill! Shin shouted. Roar! The lizardmen rushed up quickly. Whoosh! 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 Fireballs and ice balls were thrown at the lizardmen. But the speed of the lizardmen is not something they can hit. Goblin after goblin was torn apart by them. Taking advantage of this gap, the werewolf quickly pressed up. Record. Congratulations on your non-destructive clearance, you will be rewarded with 5,000 points. Gradually, others also passed the first level. But their troops suffered great losses. Because in addition to extraordinary humans, their troops also chose ordinary humans as cannon fodder. Soon, a second wave of enemies came. This time it was no longer a goblin, but a reptile about the size of a human. Their faces are like cats. This is a cat demon. Has great speed. Not only that, but their claws are also highly poisonous. This kind of creature is on the cat demon planet. Although they are not civilized, they are bloodthirsty, insidious and cunning. They are extremely difficult monsters to deal with. Yes, I also know that the strength of every cat demon can be compared with that of a warrior. It's troublesome. Without ordinary humans as cannon fodder, this may be a bit difficult. Many students have some understanding of cat demons. This insidious animal can only be lured by ordinary humans and then beheaded. But now ordinary humans are almost dead in the first wave. I surrender. I quit the game. After the first fight, many students, warriors, magicians, and Kasho began to suffer losses. This made them very distressed. If you lose too much, how will you develop in the future? Shu-jae was secretly surprised. These cat demons are really powerful, but this is not a big problem for Qing dynasty. Armor. At Shin's order, the werewolf donned the armor made by the goblin craftsman. Enter the werewolf. The lizard men will help. The werewolf has thick skin and armor, and can have a good defense against cat demons. Brush brush. The claws of the cat demon danced. But they failed to leave a scar on the werewolf. Roar. There was blood all over the ground. The blood in the werewolf was stimulated. He bit the cat demon's head into pieces in one bite. When the cat demons saw this scene, they couldn't help but take a step back. The original attacker became the fleeing party. A massacre began. Shu-jae nodded secretly. Shin is indeed a qualified leader. The analysis of the battlefield is in place. Record. Congratulations on your non-destructive clearance, you will be rewarded with 20,000 points. The first wave is goblin. The second wave is a demon cat. What third wave? Shu-jae, wait a minute, I feel a little surprised. Logically speaking, we should not wait so long, fishes, how no monster. At the same time, Shu-jae Liu Kai classmates watching with fear. He is also awakening magic planet. But the magician has a weakness, it is the fear close. To this end, he organized army of 3,000 men of ordinary human beings. But he never imagined only ordinary humans to the lives of his troops. I saw those original humans lying on the ground, even Winding stood up. They kept roar of terror issue. Watching this scene, he suddenly remembered a noun, zombie. Roar, zombie swarm toward his troops rushed past. Fire attack. Yes, these guys will only burn clean, they will not give up. He hastened to command troops convey instructions. But still lagged behind. Zombie moment rushed into his camp, the virus began to spread. Former ally into an enemy. Some people even Shabu-ku hand. Do not want. Liu Kaian wept. The magician but his effort. If this continues, his forces would be all killed. But once you start the exam, they cannot stop. He could only watch his troops completely destroyed. Headmaster cannot help but sigh. The principal, so we are not too hard. Not at all. These guys, the awakening of the planet is to let them cultivate extraordinary human beings, booing them, one by one as the ordinary human cannon fodder. This behavior disregard of life, be sure to give them a lesson. So next time they will not be taken to this battlefield ordinary humans up. Principal lukewarm channel. Yes, over there, how about 1,000 white chin? President asked. Headmaster nodded. The white Qian 1,000 screened to maximum. Headmaster and principals are shocked. Because of her fight was over. So fast, it seems to have no casualties. Principal quickly said, open the replay and see how it was. Headmaster nodded, opened playback. The original white Qian 1,000 troops in and after touching a zombie. Use the decisive fourth order magic, blizzard. Instant cold wind and snow, zombie army will be frozen, then they are so easy to destroy. The whole process, lost only 10 magician. The fourth order magic require advanced magician, she in the end is how to do the. Headmaster surprised road. Instead, the principal noticed something wrong. Look at that ring on hand to display their magician. It was ice crystal ring, the magician can make use of more than one order of magic. Chancellor explained. The simple white chin absolutely true, but the ice crystal ring of rare props, did not think she already has, she must have been favored by big capital. Headmaster Sai rode. At this point, Shin also a bit ignorant. Trial of the end. Trials did not end, continued vigilance. Shu-jae down message delivery. Just now, he again received tips that he was not hurt clearance. It seems that clearance is given away, in vain earned 80,000 points. His heart cannot help but music blossomed. But he did not know if the other students know what he thought, would anger vomiting blood. Gradually, the end of the third wave. A total of 10 students successfully cross the border. However, there are 5 give up. Although they defeated the zombies, it is only tragic victory. No capital to participate in the 4th wave of fighting. At this time, as the number drastically reduced, Shu Jae also appears in everyone's view. My god, who is that kid? He seemed not hurt by 3 off. He is like asking Shu Jae, had his awakening when I was responsible for the examiner, his awakening a dwarf planet, he left me a deep impression. His dwarf planet is a planet radiation it, logically speaking, life is very difficult birth, I did not expect even to the 4th off. What his troops is so terrible, how are some of the monsters? Teachers are suddenly talking about it. Chen eyes suddenly lit up. Shu Jae but his students in class. This kid is really a dark horse. Well, the recruitment of some monsters, but opportunistic. His achievements so it was, the monster cannot upgrade path, to see how he will do. Zhang mercilessly blow road. This kid does not know where to come out, how comparable to their white student Qian 1000. Next to the teacher, they have also nodded, feeling he is right indeed justified. Compared to Shu Jae, they are more willing to believe that white 1000 Qian won the first prize. The 4th wave coming, Shu Jae carefully up. Suddenly, the battlefield lit a huge pentagram circle. Qing dynasty soldiers, and soon felt a surge of pent-up feeling. Boom, a giant fell from the sky to the ground. Causes a deafening sound. The 4th wave turned out to have only one enemy. That is the Tauren with a height of 6 meters. Shin frowned. This time there is only one enemy, and the pressure brought to him is stronger than the previous goblins and cat demons. Archer ready. With a wave of his hand, the lizard man took out his bow. This is a custom-made bow for them, and each bow is 500 stone. This requires 3,000 pounds of arm strength, which is basically impossible for humans to do. But for the lizardmen, it's much simpler. Whoosh, whoosh. The arrows flew towards the Tauren with the strong wind. Roar. The Tauren let out a growl. The deafening sound actually formed a sound barrier. Block all the arrows flying towards it. Shu Jae frowned. The strength of this Tauren is estimated to be similar to that of the Hulk. Now it's troublesome. Your Majesty, our arrows are useless at all. Lizardman Chief Reporter. Shin said lightly. I saw it all, the werewolves came with me. After he finished speaking, he drank the shimmer potion. Instantly transform into a terrifying werewolf. Kill. Rush. The werewolf warriors rushed up together. Roar. The Tauren roared. A golden light appeared in its hand, and then a giant axe appeared in its hand. Shin's eyelids jumped, but he didn't expect this Tauren to have weapons. Blood danced in the air. The Qing dynasty was killed in action for the first time. Seeing their companions die in front of their eyes, the werewolf warriors did not retreat. They were all warriors with strong hearts, and nothing could make them retreat. Shu Jae felt a little distressed. Each of these werewolves is the elite of the Qing dynasty. Not only that, the passing of life also touched his heart. But kindness does not control the army. As a planet master, cold blood is necessary. He began to analyze the monster. Tauren, although powerful, but it also has a weakness, and that is agility. Some good lizardmen, it can't touch it at all. But the point is, the attack of the lizardmen can't bring damage to the Tauren. At this moment, a light flashed in Shin's eyes. Shu Jae nodded slowly. It seems that he has found a breakthrough. Take it, use the corruption potion. Shin took out the red and green potion and threw it to the lizardman leader. The lizardman leader understood and immediately drank the potion into his mouth. His paws began to turn dark green. He knew that this was an enchanting effect. Brush brush. The leader of the lizardmen left light wounds on the Tauren. But the toxins of the corrupted potion have begun to enter the Tauren's body. This Shu Jae really has 2 strokes, and it can last so long. Bai Qianshan is also persevering. The teacher-director looked at the display and said slowly. I have to say, Bai Qianshan's magic is more powerful. Under the bombardment of the magician, this Tauren seems to be dying. The principal took a deep breath and said slowly. That's because the 4th wave of enemies can also be dealt with 4th-order magic. What if it's the 5th wave? Those monsters are largely immune to magic. Teacher Chen stepped forward and muttered. Hey, what Mr. Chen means is that Shu Jae can survive the 5th wave. Teacher Zhang couldn't help but sneer. He has been in no 8 middle school for nearly 10 years, and no one has ever been able to defeat the 5th wave of enemies. And those monsters are not only immune to magic, they can weaken all kinds of supernatural energy. It can be said that all they have is full damage immunity. Look, Shu Jie's army, except for the first werewolf who was cut off in the middle, the other werewolves are just hanging on, and their wounds are still recovering slowly. This werewolf's vitality is too tenacious, I really don't know how he came up with it. Shu Jie is really a dark horse. Now, except for Shu Jie and Bai Qianchen, everyone else was defeated by the Tauren. These teachers are beginning to realize that maybe the grade director is not necessarily in Zhang's hands. So I started talking about Shu Jie's good words. Roar. The Tauren was highly poisoned, and gradually began to gasp for breath. Shin's eyes were shining brightly. He knew that the opportunity had finally come. He raised his arms and shouted, "Warriors, this Minotaur has been greatly weakened, let's go up together and get our honor." Honor, honor. The soldiers have been red-eyed. They want to kill the enemy in front of them more than those material promises. Honor is the most important thing. Fortunately, taking advantage of the Tauren's stunned opportunity, he jumped on its back in an instant. The Tauren's back is very broad, and the Shin hanging on its back cannot be touched at all. Shin gritted his teeth and refused to let go. When other soldiers saw this situation, they also flew up. After a quarter of an hour, the giant slammed to the end. Record congratulations on clearing the customs at a very small price, and you will be rewarded with 300,000 points. The other side, Bai Qianchen was panting heavily, and she finally solved the Tauren. That would be the first grade. Next, it's time to fight against other middle school planet masters. At this moment, a message entered her ears. What? The Shu Jie who awakened the radiant planet also passed the 4th level. Bai Qianchen was stunned for a moment, and let out a short, convulsive breath. Bai Qianchen, are you planning to participate in the 5th wave? The 5th wave of enemies has a large amount of magic immunity, I'm afraid it's not easy to deal with. Teacher Zhang said with a communicator. What about Shu Jie? Is he going to join the 5th wave? Bai Qianchen asked. Well, yes, in addition to him, the 3rd middle school also participated, and the 4th middle school and the 5th middle school withdrew. But he will definitely not pass the level. No one can defeat the 5th wave of enemies. Teacher Zhang hopes that Bai Qianchen can give up. Although according to the current performance, Shu Jie is in the lead, but his participation in the 5th wave is completely courting death. In this way, although Bai Qianchen's score is not the highest, he can still get the 1st place. This plan is undoubtedly the most secure. Bai Qianchen hesitated for a while, but of course she understood the teacher's thoughts. I attended, she said firmly. Number 1 in No. 8 middle school, it can only be her. Oh well, I'll give you something that I hope can help you. After speaking, a golden card appeared in front of Bai Qianchen. This is, she could feel the magic on the card, something that should help her troops. Pentacle Array. You can concentrate your magician power in 1 point. Teacher Zhang replied. Thank you, teacher. Bai Qianchen was delighted, this thing was exactly what she needed. And the other side, Shu Jie frowned. He had a conversation with his teacher just now. There were only 3 people left in the 5th wave. This time is definitely more difficult than the last time. He turned on the system. Start looking for items that can help your dynasty. Edelman Alloy. Category: Alloy Materials. Effect: Artificial alloy material, indestructible, but quite heavy and not easy to handle. Redemption required: 500,000 points. Shu Jie's eyes lit up. This alloy is really good. The key is that it can also be injected into the body and fused with the human body. Exchange. He didn't hesitate to spend 500,000 points to exchange for Edmund alloy. Ancestor. Standing on the battlefield, Shin felt the call of the ancestors. This time, Shu Jie directly chose telepathy. A message appeared in his mind. The next enemy will be very dangerous, and it is not your strength that can defeat it. So I decided to give you a little help. Shin was overjoyed after hearing that. Although they successfully resisted the 4th wave, they also suffered some serious injuries, and many soldiers lost their ability to fight directly. Don't be too happy, this kind of medicine is simply unbearable for ordinary people. If you can't bear it, there is only a dead end. But if you can overcome it, you will gain more power than you are now. Shin nodded thoughtfully. Ancestor, we Zuan people are not afraid of sacrifice. Although they were all warriors of the Qing dynasty, they knew that their planet's name was Zuan through their ancestor Qi. Therefore, he has always regarded himself as a Zhuan. Okay, let me see your courage. Then, a tube of sky blue medicine appeared in front of Shin. What's in there is the Edmund alloy. Shin immediately let the resting warrior stand up. The champions of Zon. Our planet is full of terrible radiation, so we've been living in the valleys all this time. That ancestor gave us hope that as long as we defeat the next enemy, our planet will be more prosperous. There is hope for us to get out of the valley, to breathe free, fresh air, for our children and descendants to eat meat that is not adulterated with evening primroses, and for us in Zon to have a bright future. Now, Zon's hope is in my hands, but it also contains great risks. Next, I will take the lead in injecting this alchemy potion, and I hope you will follow me. History will record our courage on this day. After Shin finished speaking, he picked up the potion and plunged into his body expressionlessly. Then the medicine was passed on. Injecting the drug is entirely voluntary. But the warrior who received it did not hesitate to inject it into his body. Edmund alloys can indeed transform the body, but this pain is painful to the bone, and there are not many people who can bear it. This day is destined to be infected with blood and cruelty. 199 soldiers resolutely picked up the potion and inserted it into their bodies. Hoo-hoo, ah, painful screams rang out on the battlefield. After a quarter of an hour, corpses lay all over the ground. The faces of these corpses all had their eyes wide open, full of pain and hideous. Edmund alloy and blood fused, and finally there were only 12 werewolves standing. It seems that the medicines we have in the ancestors are really not the same grade. We actually have the idea of surpassing our ancestors. Shin shook his head mockingly. He looked at the remaining werewolves and said, "Close their eyes, they are all heroes, and the history of the Qing dynasty will record them." What the hell is this Xu Jie doing? He has 200 troops, and now there are only 12 left. Dare to participate in the fifth wave just like this, isn't this courting death? The fifth wave of enemies is the group army, and 12 people are not enough to stick between their teeth. As far as the lineup is concerned, Bai Qianshan has a better chance of winning. The one in the third middle school is not ordinary. What he awakened is the energy of the beast, and he can control the powerful phantom beasts to fight. The students who had finished the assessment looked at the situation in the field and immediately started talking. But how are they optimistic about Xu Jie? Because of his troops, there are only 12 people. 12 people just want to defeat the fifth wave of enemies, which is simply impossible. Principal, what is Xu Jie doing? The enemy of the fifth wave is so strong, but he self-destructed the Great Wall. The dean was a little puzzled. Could he really be able to defeat the fifth wave of the army with these 12 people? The principal shook his head. To be honest, I don't understand either. These werewolves seem to be the same as before. I don't understand what has changed in them. However, if he dares to do this, he naturally has his intentions. What do you think about the genius of number 3 middle school? Beast Master's energy is very rare. If he can defeat the fifth wave of enemies, then our no. 8 middle school will have a hard time winning. In fact, the dean is not only optimistic about Xu Jie, but also not optimistic about Bai Qianshan's magic army. He knew very well how terrifying the enemies of the fifth wave were. Now I can only pray that the third middle school cannot pass the customs, so the overall ranking, the 8th middle school is still in the top. Although the Beastmaster is powerful, he has an Achilles heel. That's the tie. You demons need to have enough fetters with their masters before they can risk their lives to fight. Otherwise, it is normal to leave their masters alone and run away when they encounter danger. To put it bluntly, those beasts without intelligence are just grass on the wall. They are far from the sense of honor and responsibility that intelligent creatures have. In such a short time now, it is almost impossible to cultivate a bond, and the third will be defeated. The principal frowned and analyzed. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The ground shook slightly. The sound of armor boots colliding was near. A warrior wearing silver-white armor, holding a shield in the left and a blue lightsaber in the right appeared in front of Shin. Behind him was a dense army of tens of thousands. A soldier in gray armor with a heavy sword in his hand. A soldier in dark green armor with a giant axe in his hand. Soldiers in black armor, riding horses in armor. Shin frowned. He felt a tinge of evil. Your Majesty, there are no people inside these armors, and those horses are also hollow, with only a layer of armor on the outside. A werewolf next to him said. Those cavalry are the least in number. If we can have those war horses, our odds of winning will be greatly improved. We will give priority to attacking the cavalry and snatch the war horses later. Shin began to use his own wisdom to make layouts. Good. The soldier next to him replied. The shining armor came not far from the 12 warriors, and then waved the lightsaber in his hand. Boom! The army charged and crushed the enemy. Chan of Zan, follow me. Shin Yi took the lead and rushed over first. 6 claws with cold light appeared on his hands. These thorns are about 30 centimeters long, and there is a cold light on them. Shin knew that this new weapon was far sharper than his claws. Kill! He jumped up. The sharp claws in his hand directly pierced through the silver armor, which was like paper. How is this possible? That's the expulsor of light. He is wearing highly enchanted armor, even armor-piercing bullets can't penetrate it. Seeing this scene, Teacher Zhang was as surprised as if a thunder had exploded above his head. Look, those werewolves, even if they are pierced, their wounds can recover visibly. It's terrifying. Just now, a giant axe was cut down, and the werewolf was not cut in half. These werewolves were once humans. Are they obviously monsters? How exactly? The students also paid attention to Shu Jie, and this side was undoubtedly more exciting than the other two. Especially the so-called genius of the 3rd middle school, who actually met face to face, and all the phantom beasts were scared away. It really makes me laugh out loud. Everything on the battlefield was actually within Shu Jie's expectations. These 12 werewolves have Edmund alloys in their bodies. This alloy is the hardest substance, and their bones have been modified. Although the giant axe can hurt them, it is almost impossible to kill them completely. The horses chirped loudly. Shin led the warriors and began to snatch the horses and turned into knights. Their hands were like the scythes of the god of death, and the armored warriors fell in pieces. Record congratulations on customs clearance, reward points 1.5 million points. Boom! A white light illuminates the entire battlefield. After the light passed, a witch stood weakly in the middle of the battlefield. Exam passed. Bai Qianqin exhaled, her back was covered in sweat. The undead army is too strong. And they are largely immune to magic. To this end, she had to choose the last option. Blow up. Except for the leader Anna, all the other magicians detonated the magic in their bodies, causing a devastating disaster. In the end, am I the only one who survived? Anna's spirit was close to collapse, she couldn't stand, and knelt directly on the ground. You did a great job, rest. Bai Qianqin quickly appeased her, and finally sent her back to her own world. It's over, come out. Teacher Zhang knows it. What's the result? Quote. Shu Jie first. Teacher Zhang sighed after speaking. Shu Jie. Bai Qianqin couldn't believe it. She quickly launched the awakening space. Check out the leaderboard. Although both she and Shu Jie were able to pass the last level. But in terms of battle damage ratio and customs clearance time, she is not as good as Shu Jie. The final ranking is only second. The White Goddess is only second. The first is Shu Jie. I didn't expect it to end up like this. Didn't both of them pass the 5th wave? How could the White Goddess be ranked second? You haven't watched the game, have you? The battle process between the two is not at the same level at all. Soon, students also saw the final rankings. They couldn't believe it would be like this. You know, what Shu Jie awakened was a radiation planet, isn't that a Death Star? But facts are facts. No matter how puzzled, jealous, or suspicious they are, the end result is the same. Shu Jie is the first of the 4 schools. Shu Jie, congratulations. Get out of the war room. Chen Qi came up first and said. Thanks. For this girl, he has some good feelings. This is the only one who wakes up the radiant planet and doesn't laugh at himself. Others who came to compliment in front of him. He just ignored it. Rather than wasting time with them, develop your own planet. Etc. At this moment, Shu Jie was stopped by someone. Bai Qianqin. Shu Jie recognized the person in front of him. Those who can awaken dwarf planets still have 2 chances. Although I lost to you this time, it's hard to say next time. Your monsters, without an upgrade route, cannot create a real civilization. Bai Qianshan just looked at him like that, with 3 words clearly written in her eyes, I am not convinced. In her opinion, the reason why he lost this time is just a monster developed by Xu Jie, and the starting point is relatively high. But this is also relatively strong in the early stage. When her magician masters rank magic, she can make those monsters disappear as soon as she raises her hand. Oh, Xu Jie shook his head and said lightly, you don't know anything about evolution. Back to the classroom, he was called out by teacher Chen alone. Student Xu Jie, you are doing beautifully, come with me. The speaker is the dean. Xu Jie's face was calm. It is a bit unreasonable to get the first place in the 4 schools without the reward. Follow the dean to the office. Then I saw a short, plump man at work. Headmaster, good. Xu Jie said hello. Quick, sit down. The principal gestured. He sat down in the chair opposite. Congratulations to Xu for the first place, this is a reward for you. The principal said, and took out a box. The box is antique, and after opening it, there are pills. This is. Xu Jie was a little puzzled. These bean-like medicinal herbs, I don't know what they are used for. This is the foundation establishment pill. After eating it, you can successfully establish the foundation. Although your world does not have aura energy, it can also enhance the physique of the people and allow them to survive longer in the radiation environment. The principal explained. Xu Jie held his breath. This thing is really good. Just what his world needs. Thank you, headmaster. He happily accepted it. Although there are not many foundation building pills, if you can successfully decipher the ingredients, you can create your own. In this way, the planet of Zan will be more prosperous and prosperous. The foundation establishment Dan just now is my personal reward. This gold card contains 5 million federal coins, which is a reward given to you by the school. Saying that, the principal took out a gold card and handed it to him. Federation coins can buy world origin. However, Xu Jie extracted the goblin planet and still has a copy of the origin of the world, which is better than nothing to him. However, it is possible to let my father move bricks for a few days less and rest for a while. He still happily accepted it. By the way, there is one more thing. The principal continued. Although your strength has shown, some big capitals are also very hesitant due to the particularity of the planet, but with my efforts, there is finally a capital that intends to finance you. They give 100 million federal dollars a year in various cherished resources. 100 million federal coins. Xu Jie was slightly startled. But he soon realized, there is no free lunch in the world. Headmaster, what are their conditions? The principal nodded slowly. This Xu Jie did not get carried away by the huge wealth, he did have some skills. Almost once a month, 12 times a year. I reject. Xu Jie said lightly. He could sense that these 12 expeditions must not be easy. If he didn't have an awakening system, he would definitely agree to such a condition. But now, let him go to work for others, how is this possible? Qing Dynasty. At this time, a grand memorial ceremony is being held. Xin raised his lightsaber. That's the spoils of the last war. Liquor. With the vigorous development of alchemy, wine was slowly discovered by alchemists. Soon, several large cylinders were smashed in a row. The wine slowly flowed down the stairs to the stone tablet below. Send a hero. Xin shouted again. All closed their eyes and mourned. The deeds of these heroes are permanently fixed on the ancient stone tablets. A gust of breeze came. Xin realized that this was the call of the ancestors. He came to a quiet place. Soon, the leaves on the ground form a text. You've done a great job, and I'm here to keep the promise. Suddenly, 2 boxes appeared in front of him. He opened one of the boxes. Inside is something like plant beans. Are these energy sources? Xin was a little puzzled. These are extra bonuses. It can enhance your physique, not only to reduce the side effects of the shimmering medicine, but also to resist certain radiation effects. This, Xin was emotionally incoherent. The value of such a thing was self-evident. In fact, they can also be made by alchemy. I call it alchemy. Alchemy, Xin nodded thoughtfully. He seemed to have some understanding of the term. The basic of alchemy is to understand the flow that all matter in the world will have. As long as you understand this flow, you can use alchemy. Different from alchemy, the purpose of alchemy is to restore matter, and it is more used in medical treatment. Compared to the last step of alchemy, the last step of alchemy can be defined as a step close to regeneration. Shu Jie explained the alchemy technique by using the leaves to transform into words. Can this kind of alchemy make an elixir of life? Shin suddenly noticed something and said excitedly. As an emperor, being able to live forever like a god is the desire in his heart. Shu Jie fell silent. If he answers yes, then alchemy will flourish. But there are also huge side effects. Shin may have pursued immortality excessively, leading to the weakening of the dynasty. No, birth, old age, sickness and death are the rules of heaven and earth. Even with alchemy, there is no way to intervene. Shu Jie pondered for a moment, or denied it. Shin was a little disappointed. But it can prolong life, and it is not a problem to live to 100 years old. 100 years old. Shin's eyes suddenly lit up. The current Zon life expectancy is less than 40 years old, and those who use the shimmering potion have even shorter lifespans, generally dying at the age of 30. This kind of alchemy can live to 100 years old. Really amazing. Thank you, ancestor. He hurriedly accepted the foundation establishment Dan. Next, he opened the second box. Inside are some gems. These gems are azure blue crystals. Ancestor, is this what you call energy? Shin touched the gem lightly, and a tiny arc appeared on the gem. He could sense that there was a lot of energy in it. That's right, this is the hex gem, and it contains terrifying energy. As for how to use it, it's up to you. Pass on these two treasures. Shu Jie left. Shin, who was left standing there thinking. He thought for a while. First, he summoned the 11 warriors who accompanied him in the last battle. Soon, 11 people came to Shin. They are all human-like. Because after returning, they were given the restoration potion. But at the same time, they found that the presence of the Edmund alloy in their bodies, turning into a werewolf, could not improve their combat effectiveness much. So even if they go to war, most of them now use human form. Sit. Shin pointed to a huge round table. The life and death battle has already made them fettered. Shin also stopped keeping his distance from them. Instead, sit at a round table. The round table is different from the square table, and there are obvious differences in status. 11 understood Shin's intentions. All knelt down. We swear allegiance to your majesty. After that, all are seated. In front of everyone is a foundation establishment Dan. They picked up the elixir curiously. But after learning that this was the reward of the ancestors, everyone trembled with excitement. After that, 12 people took the foundation establishment Dan together. The black dirt was removed from their bodies, and each one's face became much younger and more toned. It was as if they were reborn. From today, you are all my brothers. We are the 12 knights of the round table. Let's make an oath together. After all, Shin wrote the 6 oaths. The 12 knights swore together. 1. Never rage and murder. 2. Never betray. 3. Never be cruel, and give forgiveness to those who ask for it. 4. Always give assistance to ladies. 5. Never coerce a lady. 6. Never get involved in a quarrel over love or the advantage of words. The wind blows the wheat waves, and the story of the 12 knights gradually spread on the planet of Zon. Record, you put the foundation building pill, and the alchemy technique began to sprout. Record, you put hex gemstones, alchemy technology progress speed +1. Shu Jie has been watching the development of the Qing dynasty from the air. Led by the 12 knights, the Qing dynasty began to expand its territory. But the dangers of Zon's planet far exceeded his imagination. Each of the radiation creatures here is extremely ferocious. People classify radioactive organisms into 5 classes. Among them, the 5th-level radiation creatures are the most terrifying. Shu Jie also noticed this radiant creature. After seeing the appearance, he froze for a moment. Is this Godzilla? This terrifying creature is more than 50 meters tall, with thick legs and 2 small claws, just like a large lizard. I hope Qing dynasty will not provoke this guy. 100 prosperous dynasties are not enough to destroy this guy at present. Your Majesty, the radiation creatures in the east are getting stronger and stronger, and we can't get close. A soldier came to the temple and said. Shin shook his head. In recent years, the area of Qing dynasty has expanded fivefold, but now it has encountered a bottleneck. Because the strength of the radiant creatures has been comparable to that of the 12 knights. Unless you master more powerful power, there is no way to expand the territory. Too bad it's been so long. None of them have researched the specific usage of hex gems. However, alchemy has made some progress. Compared with alchemy, alchemy is more fascinating. Alchemy can make people powerful and rich. But alchemy can satisfy people's strongest desire, eternal life. Although Shin stressed many times, the ancestors' lessons. Birth, old age, sickness and death, the law of heaven and earth. However, there are still many alchemists who do not believe in evil, and they go one after the other to conduct research on immortality. But it's not useless. That is, the lifespan of the Zan people has been greatly increased, and many people who are about to die of old age in their 40s have taken medicine pills. One by one, I feel as if I have returned to my 20s. Xu Jie is not satisfied with the current situation. Blindly pursuing immortality completely leads civilization astray. Gotta figure something out. He began to look at the other subjects of the Qing dynasty. However, his people now have more than 300,000 people, and it is really difficult to find people who change the world with their own mental power. He quickly remembered the system. Open the panel. After a quarter of an hour, he finally found what he wanted to exchange. Search function, category, services, effect, help the host to quickly find suitable candidates. Redemption required, 1 million points. A little expensive, but worth it. Over the years, Qing dynasty has killed a lot of radiated creatures and saved millions of points. System, I need someone who can end the era of crazy alchemy. Xu Jie asked. Soon, a man appeared on the system panel. He is a member of the Rosicrucian Society. In the Qing dynasty, alchemy became a mainstream science, and various institutions sprang up, and the Rosicrucian Society was one of them. This is a knowledge-based secret religious society. Specializes in alchemy and alchemy. Nicolas Lemay. Xu Jie nodded thoughtfully. This man is a master alchemist. But because he is descended from a Western tribe, his talent was not recognized, and he has been working as a scribe. On this day, he is responsible for copying books as usual. Sudden, the text on the book has changed. I'm watching you. The dense text forms a short sentence. He was startled and rubbed his eyes. Don't be afraid, I'm the one who teaches you the truth. The text changes again. He suddenly thought of something. Then he asked, are you an ancestor? Congratulations, you guessed it right. I will give you one thing. With it, you can turn a stone into gold and live forever. Immortal. Nicolas Lemay was stunned. Can't the law of life be broken? He was very puzzled. I am God, and modifying the law is part of God's work. Change the rules. Nicolas Lemay's heart was beating so fast that his lips sometimes trembled. Is this the power of God? Then, a crimson gem appeared in front of him. What's this? The sage's stone. It can turn a stone into gold, and it can also make an elixir of life. It is an amplifier that is endowed with spells that ignore the equivalent exchange principle and can be made into any substance. It is a tool that can act as a magician to open the door of truth. Nicolas Lemay was excited. This substance has been conjectured by major alchemists for a long time. But no one can prove its existence. His hand began to stroke the sage's stone, as if he was stroking his lover. He didn't expect that what countless alchemists were after was right in front of him. Watch him pocket the sage's stone. Xu Jie smiled with satisfaction. In fact, this sage's stone is of course fake. A true sage's stone requires tens of millions of points to redeem. He wouldn't be so stupid, handing over the real thing casually. Xu Jie has already thought about it. Instead of letting them have no direction, go for immortality. It's better to point out the method directly, so that they will not continue to study this illusory thing, and instead go to find the stone of the sage. But it is adventurers who are looking for, so as not to hinder the progress of civilization. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.